Ever notice how much advice is out there for leaders?
Mm.
It's like everyone and their dog wants to be a leadership guru.
Right.
But what if we just want clear, actionable steps to become more confident and effective?
Well, that's what I loved about leading with confidence. It's super practical, and I think you'll find some real gems in here too. No leadership jargon, just straight to the point,
Definitely.
ready to unpack some of the most impactful takeaways.
Absolutely. And I think this deep dive will be really helpful in understanding how to be direct while still respecting everyone's input.
And the book tackles that head on, right? It's not about being bossy. It's about clear communication and how that builds trust.
Exactly. It's all about finding that sweet spot between confidence and respect. Expressing your ideas clearly and directly, but also, and this is so important, valuing the perspectives of others. And they highlight a common pitfall, which is vague communication. Remember that example about the manager who gave really unclear instructions? It ended up being a disaster for the whole team.
It's amazing how quickly unclear communication can sabotage a team's efforts. When expectations are ambiguous, misunderstandings happen, deadlines are missed, and stress levels go through the roof.
It's like trying to read someone's mind. And that's where assertive communication comes in. It's not just about being clear for the sake of it. It's about creating an environment where everyone can actually thrive.
You hit the nail on the head. When leaders communicate assertively, it creates this sense of transparency and direction. Employees feel heard and understood, which in turn boosts their confidence and lets them perform at their best.
And this is where it gets really interesting because the book connects all of this to reducing burnout for both the leader and the team.
Absolutely. It emphasizes that assertiveness isn't about taking on every burden yourself, but about delegating effectively, setting realistic expectations, and knowing when to say no. That's how you prevent burnout.
So we've talked about how important assertive communication is.
Yeah.
But the book doesn't just tell you to be more assertive, does it?
Right.
It actually gives you the tools to do it.
Exactly. It goes beyond just defining assertiveness and gives you really practical tools that you can use.
Yeah. It's like a toolbox, right? It's full of strategies you can put into action. And I especially liked Chapter 2, Mastering the Art of Clear and Concise Communication. They talk about this idea of knowing your audience.
Oh, knowing your audience is so important.
It's huge.
And the book talks about adapting your communication style based on who you're talking to. Like, are you talking to someone who's detail-oriented? They're going to need all the steps broken down. Or are you talking to a big picture thinker? They probably just want the overview.
It's so true. And I've learned that the hard way, let me tell you. I'm kind of like a direct communicator, very cut to the chase, you know?
Right.
And I was working with this colleague once who needed every single detail spelled out. It took a few miscommunications before I was like, wait a minute, I need to adjust if we're going to understand each other.
Oh, absolutely. That self-awareness is such a key part of assertive leadership. It's not just about you. It's about being really tuned in to how the people around you communicate best.
Creating that synergy.
Yes.
So everyone's on the same page.
Exactly. And that leads perfectly into Chapter 4, where the book talks about the art of effective delegation.
Okay.
And this is where knowing your limits and saying no is so important.
It's funny how hard saying no can be.
I know, right?
But the book really reframes it as not a negative thing.
Exactly.
It's about creating those boundaries for yourself.
Yes, setting those healthy boundaries so that you can show up as your best self.
It's like they say, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. And when you're depleted and burnt out, you can't lead effectively.
Right.
So the book really stresses how important it is to delegate tasks in a strategic way.
And they don't just mean just dumping work on someone else.
No. They go way deeper than that. It's about looking at everyone's skills.
Their strengths.
Yes, and thinking about how to match the right task to the right people.
So what are some of those key strategies they talk about when we're thinking about effective delegation?
Well, first you have to make sure everyone's really clear on what needs to be done.
The objectives.
Yes, and then you have to give them the resources they need to be successful.
You have to set them up for success.
Absolutely. And provide support without micromanaging.
There's that sweet spot again. Support without micromanaging.
Is tricky, isn't it?
It really is. And speaking of sweet spots, in Chapter 5, they talk about cultivating an inclusive and collaborative team culture. That really got me thinking about the bigger picture.
Oh, that's where the book really shines. It goes beyond just the individual and looks at how you build a team that really thrives.
And it all starts with inclusivity, right? Making sure everyone feels included.
And it's not just about doing the right thing, although of course it is. It's about recognizing that diverse perspectives are essential if you want to make good decisions and be innovative.
Like that whole idea of collective intelligence.
Yeah.
The sum is greater than its parts kind of thing.
Exactly. When you have people with different backgrounds and experiences, you're going to get a wider range of ideas.
And better solutions, ultimately.
Absolutely.
And that ties into this whole concept of psychological safety.
Yes.
Can you tell the listener a little bit more about that? What exactly does that mean?
So psychological safety is knowing that you can speak your mind.
Okay.
You can share your ideas, even if they're different, even if you disagree with the boss without worrying about it.
So you feel safe.
Yes.
It's safe to speak up.
Exactly. It's about creating a space where people feel supported, where it's okay to be vulnerable, where mistakes aren't the end of the world.
So it's not even just about tolerating different opinions.
No.
It's about encouraging them.
Yes. And the book really stresses this point.
Okay.
If you want innovation, if you want people to take risks and come up with creative solutions, then psychological safety is key.
And they even have that case study in the book about Tech Solutions, Inc. They were able to totally transform their company culture by taking all of these ideas to heart: assertive leadership, inclusivity, and psychological safety.
And it really paid off for them. They saw a huge jump in innovation, and everyone was happier. Employees were more satisfied. It really shows how powerful all of this can be when it's put into practice.
So inspiring. Well, I think this has been a great overview of leading with confidence. We definitely didn't get to everything, but hopefully this gives everyone a good taste.
Absolutely.
If you're listening and you want to go deeper, I highly recommend checking out the book.
Yes.
It's full of useful stuff.
And no matter where you are on your leadership journey, there's something in here for you.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up completely, I want to leave everyone with this question from the book. What if even the smallest acts of assertive leadership could have a ripple effect, positively impacting not just ourselves, but also everyone around us?
I love that. It's a good reminder that leadership isn't just about some big, grand gesture. It's about all those small choices we make every single day, how we communicate, how we support the people around us. It's about creating a culture of respect and collaboration.
So well said. And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep leading with confidence.